life after Rodri for Manchester City began with a draw yesterday at Newcastle. They might have viewed that draw with Arsenal as a point gained, given how late they left it last week. This one would go down as 2 dropped, would you say?
Yeah, very uncharacteristically defensively, allowing Gordon to get through and, of course, win the penalty with which they took a point. But I think a striking feature of the performance was just how listless they were in front of goal and also in the middle of the park as well. No Rodri, of course, it's been well documented all through the week. And at a moment like that, you need leadership. In January, they left it late, but they came back to win because they had that experience in the middle of the park. This time around, they didn't have it. That's Vardiol's 5th goal. And he's playing at left full-back, and he's doing exceptionally well, popping up in positions to be able to take advantage of the overloads. But you can see that defensive lapse from City that allowed him through. I have to say, cards on the table, I did think it was a penalty. I did think that there was contact between the goalkeeper and the play. He knocks it beyond Ederson, and Ederson collides with him.
Do you agree, Carvey, quickly?
I think in the modern game, that is a penalty.
Doesn't buy it? Do you think he buys it a little?
Not really. I think it was a penalty in the modern game.
OK. Carry on, Darren. A little segue. Just a chip in. Do continue.
But I just think as far as Newcastle are concerned, that was a very good point for them as well. They've got a very strong record at home. And I think because a lot's being said about City and what they don't have, not much is being said about Newcastle and what they do have. And in Gordon, they've got somebody who, well, lots of people believe he should have played much more in the European Championship, not least the man sitting to my right here. But also, just in terms of the injuries that they've had and the players that they're able to welcome back, Tonali back, starting at St James's Park for the first time, I think, in around about a year. They don't have Isaac, they don't have Wilson, but they do have in Gordon a quality player. And I think they'll be very happy with that point yesterday.
I think Man City should be pleased as well, because obviously everybody knows Newcastle United is a tough place to go to. I think Newcastle had a point to prove after disappointing performance the weekend before. So I don't buy the fact that it was 2 drop points for Manchester City. I think they played really well. Newcastle played really well as well. But I think let's not underestimate how difficult it is to go to Newcastle and win, especially the new Newcastle side coached by Eddie Howe.
I think, though, City have got an incredible record at St James's Park. It has to be said, and they will feel that having gone in front, that it's a game that maybe they should have gone on to win. Is it too easy to point everything at Rodri? Or is that the reason why? I think one of the papers, we're going to have a look at some of the headlines later on, says no Rodri, no spark. Is that spark because of something that he isn't giving them, or is De Bruyne's absence a key as well? Are there other issues at City, or should we just chuck it all at Rodri not being there?
No, I mean, Rodri is the complete midfielder, defensively aware, offensively he pops up in good position to score late goals when the occasion demands it, and he's a leader as a general. He is the manager on the pitch. He is somebody who takes responsibility and empowers other players to take responsibility as well. And a player like that is worth his weight in gold. It's why he's a candidate for the Ballon d'Or. It's why he's a European Championship winner with his country. He's an outstanding footballer. So, no, I don't think it is too much to overestimate his absence. I think had he been playing, he would have been the one pushing players on the pitch, directing players to keep going all the way to the line. We know in January they were late winners against Newcastle, and it could well have been the case that had Rodri been playing yesterday, it could have been a very different story.
It's interesting that Pep Guardiola is speaking a lot about Rodri at the moment, mainly because he's being asked a lot about Rodri. But do you think for him that there comes a moment to park it and that he just can't keep talking about the fact that he's not there? And actually, I guess you lay down the gauntlet to others to say, well, you've got to step up to the plate. Ilkay Gundogan scored loads of massive goals for City over the year. Phil Foden, you would argue, hasn't quite got going this season. They've got a £100 million player in Jack Grealish. There are ways round it, even if it's not just a round peg in a Rodri-shaped hole, as it were.
I think if any side can win the title without Rodri, it's Manchester City. And don't forget, we've got the January transfer window coming up as well. Pep Guardiola said, I think yesterday or the day before, that it's something they may look at in January to sign a replacement. I thought Jonathan Wilson today summed it up really well in The Observer. He's got a good piece about Rodri. Really good sentence that stood out for me. Jonathan said, since February 2023, there have only been two ways to beat Manchester City. Either Rodri was absent or you had Scott McTominay in your team.
Who's now, of course, busy in Serie A. As we touched on, papers-wise, there is a lot of focus on Rodri not being there.
There is. I want to show you this in the Sunday Times because the headline says it all. Jonathan Northcroft, friend of the show, is the man who with the words, and they read he talks about the fact that it was a very different City in January when City were late winners. They had Rodri to control them, De Bruyne to provide moments of magic, Foden, of course, in great form. No inspiration yesterday from any of them or from a tired-looking, in his words, Haaland or from Ilkay Gundogan. The one thing I would say, which he says as well, is that we know from watching City in 6 of the last 7 seasons, they know the course and the distance. During the first half of the season, it's like the Grand National. They just hunt round for the first circuit and then they put themselves into the race from the second circuit. So from December, that's when you'll see City turn it on. And bear in mind too, for the start of this season, 4 wins, no Rodri, because Pep Guardiola had given him that extended rest, that extended break after the European Championship. So I don't think we can go too far the other way. But when you ask me about Rodri and his impact on the team, it is important to characterise why he is so coveted, why he's so respected, and why he's so valued by the team. It's important to bear in mind as well that the injury didn't come as a result of a collision with anybody or... in many ways, it was ironic, and people did draw the parallel between him talking about players playing too much and the possibility of a player's strike, and then that happening to him. But that was just unfortunate, and we've all, and everybody watching at home, have seen lots of cases of players suffer season-ending injuries in the most innocuous of ways. So I don't think that can necessarily be blamed on anything. But certainly as far as his absence is concerned, it's, as Jonathan Northcroft was saying, a situation where Pep Guardiola is going to have to draw on his deep well of experience to find a way to solve the problem of filling in for an exceptional footballer.
Is that way of solving a problem someone external in January?
I think it may have to be. Pep's already mentioned that that's a possibility. Somebody maybe like Zubimendi, who turned down a move to Liverpool. I think I was reading in The Sun yesterday, was it The Sun? I'm not sure, Sun or the Mail, maybe saying that Adam Morton at Crystal Palace is a player that Pep likes. Today, actually, in the Sunday Mirror, Simon Mullock was saying that Kovacic, Lewis, Gundogan are no substitute for the Spanish maestro, as he called Rodri. And he seemed to suggest that maybe City had made a mistake by not spending more in the summer transfer window, because in actual fact I think no team in the Premier League spent less than Manchester City this summer. Birmingham City in League One spent more than Man City. I think the only player they signed was Savinho, and they actually made a profit of about 100 million. Yeah, I think Gundogan was free. Yeah. But maybe looking back, they should have been a bit more active in the transfer market. But I'm sure if they need to, they can fix that in January.
I think that you've actually highlighted what could be a saga going up to the January transfer window, because obviously Liverpool have a long-standing interest in Zubimendi. Suddenly another superpower from the Premier League are going to have a look at him. He was talking about perhaps having a few regrets at not choosing to go to Liverpool. Could it now be that he's got a choice between the team that is in great form under their new manager against the team that need to fill a huge hole? A Rodri-shaped hole.
He came
He's
on
the
for
guy who
Rodri
came on for him in the European
final.
Championship final and helped Spain to win it.